Mark Ogden is joining me as we're talking about some juicy UEFA Champions League quarterfinal matchups that we were treated to last night. The first legs, Augie, you were at the Etihad as Manchester City beat Dortmund in the first leg 2-1. A lot was made, of course, about Erling Haaland and him walking onto the pitch and to see how he would fare, considering he has been linked with a move to City in the summer. What did you think of it all? How did you think he went?
I think Haaland had a quiet night against City last night, but I think we saw there were two glimpses of what a player he is in the second half. When the first was when he chased down Ruben Dias. He gave him maybe a 6 foot head start, and he blew him away. And not only that, he just threw him around like a rag doll just to get the ball, and he showed his strength and his pace. But for a great save by Edison, he would have scored. So that was a real warning to City as to what he's capable of. And then we saw when he linked up with Jude Bellingham and Marco Reus late in the game for Reus's equalising goal. It was a nice little touch, little layoff to Reus. So in two little glimpses, he showed how good a player he is. And yes, it wasn't the explosive kind of performance that you've seen with the highlights packages, but Pep Guardiola and his players will go to Dortmund next week knowing that Erling Haaland is a massive threat to their chance of qualifying next week.
Massive threat indeed. But of course, whether it was home or away, first leg or second leg, you'd know that Manchester City go into both as favourites for this one and as even favourites to just win the Champions League on a whole. Did Dortmund give you any indication that they could possibly be a bigger threat for this second leg?
Yeah, because they've kept themselves in the tie. You know, a 2-1 first leg defeat is not a bad result because they got the away goal. So a 1-0 win next week will take Dortmund through. And I think we've seen with Dortmund that they can score goals and they will threaten City next week. I just think that City are so good going forward, especially away from home where they can hit teams on the counter-attack, that it'll be very difficult for Dortmund to keep a clean sheet. But I do think that, you know, having seen Dortmund live last night, they've got some very good players and players that will give City problems. Obviously, we spoke about Haaland, Marco Reus, Bellingham, Jadon Sancho may be fit for the second leg. You know, Gio Reyna may be involved. You know, Mats Hummels at the back has got a great experience as well. So if Dortmund need to keep a clean sheet, then Hummels is there to organise and make sure that they can, you know, try and find a way to do it. So I think Dortmund has still got a chance this time. City will be nervous. You know, City have got a terrible record under Pep in the Champions League. They've never gone beyond the quarterfinals. So that will be in the back of their minds next week, especially if Dortmund score earlier, because it's only 12 months, less than 12 months since Lyon knocked them out of the Champions League quarterfinals. So City will know that if they're not at the top of their game, they'll lose next week. So it's still to play for.
Well, over in the other matchup that we saw last night over in Spain, Real Madrid, they weren't at the Santiago Bernabeu, but they did play like they were at home, defeating Liverpool 3-1. People were still quite wary of a Liverpool fight back, and we probably did see a little bit of that just as the second half started before Real Madrid really took it away again. Augie, for Jurgen Klopp and the Liverpool faithful over here in England, is there any indication that they can save it or bring back some magic? Because we have seen it happen before, although we know that they're up against it this time, right?
Yeah, well, the one big disadvantage Liverpool got this time is that there were no fans at Anfield. I was there that night that they beat Barcelona 4-0. It made a huge difference, the atmosphere at Anfield. And it's a legendary stadium when the crowd get going. But I do think, I think Liverpool fans that are giving up hope right now, it's so early in the tie. They only need to win 2-0, and it sounds ridiculous. It's Real Madrid, but we know that Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk won't be there for Liverpool next week. We know that, but Real Madrid might still be without Rafa Varane and Sergio Ramos. Varane's got COVID and Ramos is injured. So if Real Madrid go to Anfield without their two first choice centre halves, Liverpool have still got a chance. Firmino, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, you wouldn't write them off scoring against any opposition. So of course, Liverpool have to get a better grip of the game. They have to find a way to nullify Toni Kroos in midfield and stop him dominating as he did in Madrid. Alexander-Arnold has to defend better. They've got to get the key players playing better. But a 2-0 win for Liverpool at Anfield is by no means out of the question.
And from the Real Madrid perspective now, because like you said, Rafael Varane, obviously they might still be without him. We'll see what happens. Sergio Ramos too. They have El Clasico to play. That's going to be another test for them as well. And we keep talking about the likes of City, PSG, Bayern probably for this title, but Real Madrid are still in there. A lot of people were excited by what they saw last night. Any indications that they're probably hitting a new gear that might put them back in that discussion for the title?
I mean, you can never write Real Madrid off because they've got so many great players and they are the ultimate club for delivering on the big occasion. They've won twice as many European Cups as virtually everybody else. So they are the team that you should never ignore. But I do think that, we've seen that they're an ageing team, Real Madrid. They've got all the best players are in their 30s or mid-30s. And I think if they come up against a Bayern Munich or Man City, I do think that they'll find it tough against a team that have got equal quality but younger legs. And let's be honest, if they do get through, Chelsea or Porto in the semi-finals is by no means an easy tie. But they've got an advantage to go to Anfield, but because of Real's frailties, and we've seen them over in recent years in the Champions League, I do think this game's still got plenty to go at, and I think that Liverpool, if they score early, as every team needs to in the second leg, I think Liverpool can go through. And I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool win 2-0 and get into the semi-finals. Liverpool have got a real knack in the Champions League, as we've seen many times. And I think even without fans at Anfield, they can still do this.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.